This question is an auto-graded question, which means that once you click on the Submit button, it's going to grade your code. Before we take a crack at this, let's take a look at what's available in the Explorer panel. We have 3 files, circle.java, main.java, and grader.java. You can click on them to see what's inside. The grader.java file, it's read-only. You cannot edit anything here. It's used to test your code. So the 2 files that you need to work with are the circle.java and main.java. Circle.java. You can use this class to create or instantiate circle objects. It has one instance variable called radius, which is integer, and below that, we're missing a constructor for this class. Remember, constructor is used to instantiate or create an object, so we must include this here. And that constructor is going to set the value for the object's radius. And below that, we have a method called getRadius, and this method can be called on the circle object. So the circle objects can use the methods that are created within this class, and this is a getRadius method, which simply returns the instance variable value radius. Next, let's look at main.java. This file has the main method, which means that when you run this program, this method will be called first. And in here, we have lots of comments explaining what these code will do. Line number 7, this code right here creates or instantiate a circle object from the circle class, and the name of the object is C. Circle C is going to have an instance variable radius value 6. And when you call getRadius method on circle C, it's going to return 6 because that's the instance variable that we're passing on to create a circle object. And there are a few more to-dos here. And if the editor screen is small, you can just drag this here, make it a bit bigger. Next, let's take a look at what's required here. Task number 1. Create a constructor for the circle class. This should be created in circle.java. Click. Circle objects are instantiated by calling the constructor that sets the radius value, like below. So this constructor has one very important job, which is to make sure that this radius value is set. So let's code. When an object is created or instantiated, constructor is called. So we need to keep it public. And the constructor name must match the class name. So public circle. And then remember, the circle constructor must be able to receive the radius value that's going to be set for this circle object. For example, this value 6. So in order for us to set the instance variable radius, we need to be able to receive it. And this radius value is going to be integer, and you can give it any name. I'll just call it R. And then open up your curly brace. Inside it, we need to make sure that this value, instance variable, is set to the R value. So radius, instance variable, you're going to be set to R, semicolon. And that completes the constructor. We can test our code. Remember, main.java is going to create this object, and then it's going to print the getRadius value. So if we get 6 in the output window, it means that our constructor is working properly. Let's run. Great. So task number 1 is done. Now let's go to task number 2 and see what's required. This time, we're going to work with main.java. And here, we're required to create 3 objects. The first one is already done for you, right here. The rest 2, we need to create 2 objects. One with radius 100, and the last one with radius 10. Now let's code. Circle. Important thing to note here, we're creating 3 different objects, which means that they all need to have different names. So for the second circle, I'm just going to call it C2. And C2 is a new circle object with the radius value of 100, semicolon. And I want to test if this is working properly, so I'm going to system out println get radius on C2. C2 dot get radius. Now remember, this get radius method comes from circle.java. All right, now let's test it. 100. It's working. Now let's get on with that last circle object, which will have the radius value of 10. Circle, this time call it C3, is a new circle object with radius value of 10, semicolon. And then let's print it to test it. System out println C3 dot get radius and semicolon. All right, so when we run this program, it should print 110. Run. Great, it's working. Let's go back to the question. We actually took care of task number 3, which is to print each of the radius values of C, C2, and C3. So we're now ready to submit for the grading. Submit. Great, that worked.